Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you all once again to the online session for the certificate course in Integrative Medicine Batch 2, organized by the Department of Integrative Medicine, NIMHANS, in collaboration with S-VYASA Yoga University, Bengaluru. Today, we are going to have one of the most exciting sessions of this course, where none other than Dr. H.R. Nagendra, who is a pioneer in the field of integrative medicine. He is recognized as the top 2% scientists in the world who have contributed in the area of traditional medicine and bringing it into mainstream medicine. So Guruji has been the guiding force, into bringing up this moment of integrative medicine throughout the country. And now, I hand over the mic to Guruji for his address on the conceptual basis of integrative medicine.
Namaskar, my dear brothers and sisters. Are you able to hear me, all of you?
Yes, Guruji.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I'm really very happy that all of you have joined this second batch of the CCIM, organized, combined with NIMHANS and S-VYASA. And Dr. Hemant has been at the base of this wonderful program that we have been able to round up. So today, I would like to let you know as to why integrative medicine has to be brought forth. When you look at the world at large, last century has been a pioneering success for the allopathic system. We were able to deal with infectious diseases, contagious diseases, and painkillers and whatnot. And as a result, we were able to deal with a large number of such mortality cases, and we were able to give solution to that. Then we had the vaccines that were developed to prevent cholera, typhoid, and many other things which were there in the encounter. And our pharmacological intervention started developing wonderfully well with double-blind studies and whatnot. Similarly, surgery started developing very fast, and throughout the world, it started spreading with such great exponential growth. Therefore, we were so enthused that the WHO announced to the world, yes, we are going to bring health for all by 2000. And everybody was so enthusiastic. But as we reach the end of the last century, the non-communicable diseases, probably they're called as earlier, the mind-body problems and then stress-related things and so on, they started coming up. Asthma, diabetes, hypertension, heart problem, epilepsy, migraine, irritable bowel syndrome, cancer, HIV, and large number of psychiatric disorders. Everything started mounting up, and the heart attacks and everything started tuning. And as we entered into the new century, they started blowing up, become the biggest cause for the mortality in the world. Recently, when we saw that we had probably a few lakhs of people who died in COVID, if you look at the number of people who die out of heart attacks or the HIVs and cancer, it is in millions all over the world. And the question is, why? In fact, when these NCDs started coming up the world over, the modern medical system said, okay, let us see whether we can develop the vaccines for diabetes or hypertension or heart problem and so on. And we found that it's a different category of diseases, and it is not happening because of the germs that are coming from outside, and the immune system has to be prepared for this thing. They are all inborn. And as a result, the approach to get to vaccines as solutions did not work. Then we went on trying to find out the antibiotics and see whether we can solve, just like in typhoid and others, we used to have antibiotics to completely cure the diseases. And we found that also did not work. The reason for these things is that they're all born inside and not outside. They are not germs that are coming from outside, but they're all born inside. Therefore, the approach that we used to have in the allopathic system did not work. Though we have been able to develop very powerful pharmacological interventions over the last few decades, and surgeries after surgeries, nearly 5,000 types of surgeries, where we can replace almost every part of the body. We are even racing to change our genes so that our entire personality also can be changed. Then all such things are happening, but we have no solution to these modern NCDs. Why? In spite of the tremendous achievements that we have done, why we have not been able to do that? I consider that there is a basic reason for that. That reason is our knowledge. Knowledge base that we have today is modern science is limited to the physical world. Let us go back as to how science started. Almost 400 years back, when Newton and Descartes started the ball rolling, the objective of science to find reality. Is there a fundamental reality from where this whole universe has come? Whole creation has been created. That was the search. And scientific methodology was developed. Formulation of a hypothesis and designing an experiment and conducting the experiments and multicentric trials and repeated experiments. And once we get the same result, we accept that as the inference. This is the whole methodology that we developed. So no blind faith. It might have been told in our ancient scriptures or in the text or in various philosophical old texts. We are not just accept them. Everything has to be tested into the anvil of evidence base, anvil of this experimental research, experimental methodology. And people started accepting that, and all over the world, the best of the intellectuals have started working in this direction. We started unraveling the mysteries of this nature. Soon we found that the world is very complicated. This creation is fantastic. And we do not understand even how an object falls down, how the rain drops, how the lightning occurs, how the thunderbolt occurs. When we cannot understand even simple things like this, what to talk about things which are very complicated, like gods, goddesses, devils, pishachas, and whatnot, Therefore, Newton and Descartes said, let us start with simple things to understand the physical world. Once we complete understanding the physical world, then we'll go to understand the subtle and causal dimensions of this universe. And with the best of the intellectuals working all over these decades and centuries, today we have come to the fortunate position. Probably we understand everything about the physical world. What is the structure? Any object is all made out of molecules. Molecules are made out of atoms. Atoms are made of protons, neutrons, electrons, fundamental particles. And what are they made of? Called quarks, packets of energy. Therefore, matter is nothing but condensed energy. Therefore, everything in the physical world is nothing but energy, energy, energy. And we have been able to go to such depth that we can calculate how much of energy is in given matter. E equals mc square. All of you have heard. E is the energy, m is the mass, c is the velocity of light, c square, c into c. For example, if I just convert this small pen into completely energy, probably it can burn up the whole of this Bengaluru city itself. Few grams of hydrogen bomb burnt up the whole Hiroshima in the hydrogen bomb. Such is the immense energy factor to so-called inert matter. We understood that. Then we also started understanding the laws that govern the motion. Newton's laws of motion became very famous and got accepted for centuries together. The 3 laws of motion that all of you have learned. So this is known as the classical mechanics and deterministic approach. According to this, in the world, everything is determined. There is no ambiguity. If I leave the object, in 1 second, it's going to come down by 32 feet. If I launch a rocket towards the moon, every millisecond you can track the trajectory of the object moving towards the moon. Mathematically precise. So therefore, the entire physical world is governed by the classical mechanics or deterministic approach. But as we went deeper and deeper into subtler and subtler objects, and the particles become extremely small, and those things which are moving extremely fast, like an electron swirling around the nucleus, nearing the velocity of light, then we found that Newtonian mechanics will not hold. We have to go to the higher laws, called as quantum mechanics or theory of relativity. It is known as the probabilistic mechanics. What is the difference? If I leave an electron can come down, electron can go up, electron go to the left or to the right. In fact, an electron develops like a globe. Therefore, you cannot say where will be the electron after 1 second. It can be here, it can be here, it can be here, it can be far away. So the deterministic collapses when you go to the subtler world, when you go to extremely high speeds, and therefore it is called as the probabilistic mechanics. You can only talk about the probability to find the electron here is 1%. Probability of finding the electron here may be 0.1%. The probability calculations can be done by what is known as Schrodinger's equation. Therefore, we understood even all those laws that govern the subtle world, very, very small particles and extremely high speeds, or very huge dimension of astronomical dimension. Everything we understood in the physical world. Therefore, in a sense, we know anatomy and physiology of this entire physical world, the structure and the laws that govern them. Therefore, anything physical, we have been a big success. Putting man on the moon, building skyscrapers, underwater tunnels, information technology, and very powerful pharmacological intervention, thousands of surgeries. And sitting here, we are able to converse with the people around the globe. We have shrunk the whole globe into a small village. But for it, we would not have had these classes. All of you sitting in different parts of the country, world, we have no way that we cannot do that. We can do that. That has become. That has been the tremendous achievement. So modern science and its applications known as technology has brought us all the dividends. And it has brought such great advantages which were unbelievable in earlier times. We can live in the most hazardous condition. And we were able to deal with things which were impossible to deal with. For example, in Chicago, with a wind factor, the temperature go down to minus 80 degrees. If you just come out without any outer thick clothes, probably you'll be frozen to death in few minutes. Once I went to Japan, into a small city, the most hazardous city in Japan. They had very heavy earthquakes, and they had a volcano bring volcanic eruptions every 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And the oceanic thing will have cyclonic water and spreading throughout. And people were living very comfortably. Earlier, nobody used to stay there, but we built houses. I will stay in a house along with our friends, that the house is put 15 minutes above on pillars. And to combat the tremendous temperature because of the volcanic, very thick walls were there with insulation. The temperature outside may be hundreds of degrees, but inside very, very comfortable. Then the cyclonic wind, you can blow up trees and everything, houses, but these are all well designed. For the earthquakes, the whole houses were well designed so that even with the heaviest of the earthquakes, nothing is going to happen to the houses. And when we got the signal, when we went there, we got an alarm signal that now the cyclone is coming up and the water from the sea is going to rush in. Be careful. Then our house owners, what they did, they went and car was put inside the things, and then they were tied to the pillars because the water will completely come up to 10, 12, almost 13, 14 feet high. And when it subsides, the whole water will go back to the sea and all cars will be drawn away back to the sea. Therefore, they have to tie up. Very interesting. And people were sitting and nicely and were doing all the work from the house. For 3 days, the whole thing went. Such fantastic things we have achieved because of the science and technology. Along with that, we also have changed our lifestyle. Earlier, maybe we were all sleeping nicely after the sunset, maybe about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and get up morning of the sunrise. I remember in our younger days when we were children, in our house, after the sunset, maybe before the sunset we'll have food, and then we'll have small things, and then sleep. And then get up morning after the sunrise, and now everything is changed. And our children go on waking up, as you know. They sleep at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, get up in the morning, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Whole lifestyle has changed. And tremendous amount of stress, working for the target, achievement, come up. So whole lifestyle has changed. Because of that, probably, there has been very big challenges that have started coming up. Stress has become the major challenge. And it has started spreading throughout with exponential growth because of the wrong lifestyle, because of several reasons. The stress is a multi-dimensional factor. Stress is not merely physical. Mental restlessness, emotional upsurges, deep-rooted psychological conflicts, all are at the base of this stress. And all these modern LCDs are all multi-dimensional again. They are not mere physical. It's not because of just the food or because of the physical things, but mental restlessness, emotional upsurges, deep-rooted psychological conflict between husband and wife, parents and children, one director and the other director, all could be the base of this NCDs, non-communicable diseases. And what is our solution? Modern science and technology, allopathy and modern medicine, what we say, is one-dimensional. Because our knowledge base is physical. How can you solve a multi-dimensional challenge of the NCDs by a one-dimensional solution of modern medical system? That's why we have been a failure. Once a diabetic, ever a diabetic has come to pass. Once you get hypertension, you must go on taking medicine for your life. Once you have cancer, your days have numbered, have come. Why? This is the reason that we are trying to tackle the multi-dimensional challenge with a one-dimensional solution of allopathy or modern science. What is the way out? If modern science and technology has no solution to these modern NCDs, what is the way out? It's here that India comes into picture. Here in our country, thousands and thousands of years back, we don't know whether millions of years back, we understood the entire dimension of this creation. in search of reality. Our ancient masters went so deep, they understood everything about the whole creation. But in modern science, we also thought we understood everything because we knew the structure of the universe, everything is energy, we understood the laws. Therefore, I remember 1970s, 76, 77, there was an idea that yes, we know everything about this whole creation. Look at the body, it's all made out of atoms, molecules. And what is it that we call as prana, or the life functioning of the DNA or RNA molecules? What is it that we call as mind, functioning of the brain cells? What are emotions? Functioning of the specific centers in the brain, emotion center, like the rage center, the love center, and others. Consciousness, it's all the awareness of the cells and others. Therefore, we thought everything is nothing but matter, atoms and molecules. Since we know the laws that govern them, we know the structure of that, we know everything, there is nothing else to be known. That was the condition that people were having in 1970s. But soon the question came, if it be so, can you create life out of matter? Can you create a living being? Can you create a DNA or RNA molecule which is working? That was the condition. I remember in 76, 78, our computers were not big enough to actually create a DNA RNA structure. But by 1980, 81, 82, we had such powerful computers by which we were able to actually replicate a DNA molecule or RNA molecule and do this thing. So everybody was enthused. In most of the laboratories all over the world, particularly in the United States and UK and Germany and other places, the whole effort was to create life out of matter. And people believed, yes, it is possible. And therefore, they were saying we can create the life and we can create the type of human beings that we want. I remember at that time, there were some newspapers. Oh, if we are going to create the type of people we want, if we create all Napoleon, what is going to happen? If we create all Hitlers, what is going to happen? If we create all terrorists, what is going to happen? Such funny things, articles were all coming. But once every laboratory started creating the DNA or any molecules, we are hoping that life is going to emerge out of it. Did not happen. So we pushed it and pulled it to see whether we can trigger so that the life is going to come out of it. It was a failure. 2 years, intense experts all over the world. They came to the conclusion, no, prana is something different. Life is something different. It cannot be created out of matter. You can create a DNA or RNA molecule. You can structure it, physical. But prana is something different. This is the understanding which opened up our horizons from the matter-based paradigm to the new consciousness-based paradigm. It's here people started looking at all the different philosophies and trying to understand particularly the Upanishads and our Vedic lore. Because here in our entire country, millions of years back, they understood the entire dimension of this creation. And they were tested again and again. And through various conferences, they were debated. And the philosophy, the whole understanding of the creation was postulated, inferred, and established. Just like today, we have journals. When you send a paper, there will be the expert reviewers who are going to send reviews, and they'll be tearing you to pieces. And you have to reply all these things and see that your things are exact before it gets published. Similarly, in our country, they had the methodology. And using the methodology, they were testing. What is that methodology? Called Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and Jnana. Shravana is hearing or reading a book, forming a hypothesis, setting up a thing. Then Manana, thinking about it, logical thinking, designing. Then conduct the experiment, Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is conducting the experiment. If modern science conducts experiments in outside lab, we have our own built-up lab inside the mind. So mind is a flexible entity which you can alter and change, and you can do the experiment inside. And you get the result. And this is repeated by a large number of people. And there used to be conferences. I remember Janak Maharaja was to organize a wonderful conferences. And Yagnavalka was the president. And thousands of people will be coming. Experts from all fields. Shaddarshanas, they call it. So Vedangas, everybody used to come. And people experts in yoga, experts in Mimamsa, Puramimamsa, everybody used to come. And the person who is going to present the things will be torn to pieces by such questions from all fronts. From not only the gross front, from the subtle thing. And that was the condition. So if the person doesn't convince everybody, his hypothesis will be kept aside and say, okay, next time you come for the conference. It's very, very beautiful to see and then hear such thing that was happening. So after such thing, then it was all put into the form of textbooks. Just like we have a textbook of anatomy, it is based on the understanding of this thing. Just a second. So those textbooks, for example, anatomy, it's all brought after tremendous amount of experimentation people did, understanding and dissecting and everything, and we brought out the things of the Gray's anatomy, let's say. Similarly, our textbook was brought after intense research and having satisfied thousands and thousands of people from all over, and these books are called as the Vedas. Coming from the word Vidignane, Vedas, from the encyclopedia of all knowledge. In that, we have the 4 Vedas which you all are familiar: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, Atharva Veda. This is one classification. There is another classification called Uttara Mimamsa and Pura Mimamsa. Uttara Mimamsa, I call it the science of the Veda. Pura Mimamsa is the technology of the Veda. Science unravels the mystery of this entire creation. And once you understand the dimensions, then you apply that for our day-to-day use, for building all the advantages and others, that the technology. Applications of science is technology. Similarly, the basic science for Uttara Mimamsa, and application of that is the Pura Mimamsa. Uttara Mimamsa are contained in the Upanishads. They are called as the Shruti Prasthana. 3 main streams. Shruti Prasthana means all knowledge that are revealed to them. And that which is revealed by deep experimentation, Nididhyasana and Jnana, and which has been tested again and again, that forms knowledge base. They are all contained in the Upanishads. Somebody asked me how many Upanishads are there. I don't know, maybe 1,000. I have seen 800 Upanishads in print. But among them, 10 are the most important. They are called Dasha Upanishads, 10 Upanishads. Isha, Kena, Katha, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitreya, Taittiriya, Prashna, Samdogya, Brihadaranyaka. 10 Upanishads. They are called the Dasha Upanishads. You don't have to study all 800 Upanishads. You study 10 Upanishads, more than adequate. Not even 10 is needed. Smallest among them is Mandukya Upanishad. Biggest is the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. He said to study even one Mandukya Upanishad good enough and do the practice. Just like there are hundreds of books on anatomy, but one Gray's anatomy book is good enough. To study that is good enough, maybe. Similarly, Mandukya Upanishad. Ekam Mandukyameva alam, it is said. One Mandukya alone will do. Therefore, people wrote the commentaries and commentaries and commentaries, commentaries and commentaries and commentaries. It's called Bhashas, Vartikas, Kartikas, and others. And that gives the whole essence of this entire creation. So, the Upanishad give us the knowledge base. What is the knowledge base that we have in the Upanishad? No. I want to share a nice story of a king with 4 wives. How many of you heard this story from me? Any of you? If you have heard, you must see what new things I have added. There was a king with 4 wives. 4th wife is the one whom he loved the best. He spent all his time, energy, everything to take care of her. And he gave her nothing but the best in life. So she also loved him. It was a wonderful couple. Then the 3rd wife is most attractive, most beautiful, very enchanting, a great communicator, and a great PR, and very creative. And king used to send her as an ambassador. Whoever is to come this thing, she will go, enchant them, bring her to the ways of the king. Therefore, king was very proud about her. But in the heart of hearts, he was a little afraid. Hey, if she is going to meet a very big emperor, probably she may leave me and go with him. That was the fear he had. But both of them were very loving people. Then the 2nd wife. 2nd wife is a very pragmatic lady. And any problem that the king and the ministers could not solve, they will look at her, there she goes, solving the problem. Each time she was a success. Such was his practical knowledge base. And she always came to the help, to help the king to solve all his problems. So the king was very happy, and she also loved him. And the 1st wife is a loyal partner to the king. She stayed in the beautiful palace that king had. And she took care of the entire ambience of the palace. And whoever is to come, they have wonderful hospitality, very serene atmosphere, and wonderful food and whatnot. But nobody knew who is doing all that. He was always behind the scene. She never came forward. Everything was going on nicely. Unfortunately, the king also did not bother her. He never asked, hey, have you taken food? No. But it did not matter for her because her love was very genuine. It's called the prema bhava. In our normal law, I love you, I give you a party, you should also give me a party. If you don't give me a party, then our friendship comes down. Whereas in the prema bhava, the real friendship, I go on giving you the party again and again, without expecting anything in return. That's the real prema bhava. She had that. Therefore, it did not matter whether the king would look at her or ask her. She was doing her best. Her only thing was tremendous love for the king. These were the 4 wives. Now, the king became old. He was in a deathbed. He knew few more hours left for him to leave this body. Then he thought of his luxurious life. All these 4 wives taking care of him so nicely for all these years. And he thought, what is going to happen to me when I die? I will leave this body, I go to some other space. No. I do not know what is going to happen there, whether somebody is there to take care of me. Went on worrying. Then he scratched his head. No. Some people scratch their heads to get some new idea. So he got a brilliant idea. Let me see whether any of my wives can come with me. That was the idea he got. So he called his, naturally, the 4th wife, come on. Oh dear, I have loved you whole of my life. And now I'm going, and going to the wonderful place. So join me and let us continue our journey. And you will be wonderfully taken care of. And you will take care of me and I will take care of you. Come on, let's go. Then she looks at him. What are you talking? You fellow, you're dying. You want me also to die? Goodbye, goodbye, She walks away. A big hit to the king. Then the third wife, she's very intelligent, very brilliant. So he thought, I should also have some creative idea for her. He calls her, see, now I'm going to super space. I have been introducing you to all the best of the people who is to come here. And you have done wonderfully well. Now in super space, there will be super entities, super VVIPs, super VIPs. Come on, join me. And both of us will go and turn a new life altogether. And it will be something fantastic, something super. Come on, join me. Again, she looks at him. I am not a fool. A bird in hand is bird two in the bush. So I'm only waiting for you to die. As soon as you die, I have fixed up that, that emperor we have met, I have already fixed up. The fears which he had king came true now. Then the only thing is now his second wife. He calls, oh dear, see, both these wives have betrayed me very badly. Very bad on that part. But you have helped me all my life. You have solved all my problems. Now I have the biggest problem. I want your help. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What can I do? What can I do? No. I'm going there to super space. I want you to come and take care of me as you have been taking care and solving all my problems. When I go to the super space, there will be super problems and greater difficulties, greater challenges, greater problems, So I want you to come and you have a great opportunity to expand your creativity and solve all these problems. Then she looks at, in all humility, head down. Oh, king, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. How I wish I can do that. I'm so sorry. I can't help you. The best I can do is carry your dead body to the grave or the crematorium. All the hopes of the king collapsed. All the three wives have betrayed badly. Then when he was in that state, almost devastated, he hears a very sweet voice. Oh, my dear king, don't worry. I'm going to go with you. Wherever you go, I am with you. You look at, who is that? First wife. How is she? Thin, emaciated. He feels so bad, so cut up, so ashamed. Shame on me, shame on me. When I could have done everything for her, I did not ask whether we are taking food. I never went and caressed her. Because she is the only who is repeat come. So, king felt very ashamed and cut up. Now, this is the story of the king and the four wives. And who is the king? Who are the four wives? Each one of us represent that king. Each one of us have four wives. Who are they? The fourth wife is our fond body we love the most. We take care of this everything, all the money, time, everything. We take care of the body. We give nothing but the best. What is going to happen when we die? This body is going to say goodbye to us. Fourth wife will go away. Who is that third wife? Most enchanting, communicative, beautiful. About them, which we are very proud. That's our possessions, our wealth, our property, our bank balance. And look at the beautiful house I have built. In the key position in Marine Drive, I have built a 15-story building. How many rooms? 46 rooms. And how many people living in the house? 3. I'm so proud of this thing. I will show everywhere. This is the grandeur that I have. What is going to happen when I die? All this is going to go to someone else. So the third wife is going to marry someone else. Then who is that second wife? Always helpful, solving all our problems. That's our friends, real good friends, and our relatives. They are the ones that help us. How long can they help? As long as we are alive. Then once we die, what can they do? we can carry our dead body to the grave at the crematorium. Then who is that first five? Whom we never look inside. That is called Jivatma, individual soul. And we are so structured that we never look inwards. We always are outwardly. Our eyes, all our senses are outside. This is what the Upanishad tells. Paranchikhani Vyatrunat, Paribhuhu, Swayambhuhu, Tasmat, Parang Pashyati Nantaratman. So we're all so structured that we are made to see outside. It's not our mistake, it's a mistake of the creator, Brahma, because he made us to look outside. But Kachya Dhiraha Pratyak Atmanam Aikshata, Avrata Chakshuho, Amrutatvam Ichan. There is a great researcher, a brilliant, creative researcher. He started looking inwards. A young lad, Nachiketa, has gone to Yamadharmaraja. Yama looks at him. You are fantastic. You are such a great, brave researcher. You have started looking inwards. You are trying to understand the mystery of death, the mystery of the prana and other things. You have started looking inwards. So once you start looking inwards, a new journey starts. That's called Adhyatma, Adi Atma. You start looking at that inner thing which is subtle, unseen, and fathomable. Once you start looking inwards, you see a huge world inside, a subtle world inside. Just like we see the outside world, you see an ocean. We never knew what is there inside. But once our technology grew, we are able to go down and see about the underwater world museums, when you see fantastic things happening, millions and millions and billions of creatures, and plants and whatnot. And you go to the deepest of the sea, maybe you have the diamond. Similarly, when you start going inwards, you see a weird world, a new world, a subtle world, causal world, and which is fantastic. Much bigger, much subtle, much complicated. And as you go deeper and deeper, you find that there is such fantastic world inside. And finally, when you go to the deepest, when you transcend, then you have the diamond. And that is our original state. That's called as Parama Atman. That is the soul of all of us. And that is called Brahman. That is pure consciousness. That is the original state from where the whole creation has come. Therefore, according to this, this entire world is called as Jagat. Jagat comes from the word Jagatyan Jagat. That which goes on changing and changing is called Jagat. So this entire world is changing and changing. Look at the body. A billion cells get created every day. A billion cells get destroyed every day. Since we came to this session, all our bodies have changed. What to talk about the mind, emotions, prana, everything changing. Change is the feature of this entire creation. Therefore, there was the biggest philosopher, a very brilliant and creative philosopher, Buddhistic philosopher. He wrote a huge text, beautiful thesis, and he was able to win over all other people in the conferences. And he developed this as a logical framework, a mathematically accurate thing, and that called as the Kshanikavada. And it ruled for few decades. Everybody accepted, yes, this is the thing that we want. What we wanted, and he has given that. But after a few decades, there was a brilliant student, he came and said, sir, you have done fantastic thing. It's unbelievable, such depth you have incorporated, such mathematics, such logic, such things, experimental thing. Everything is great. But I have a question for you. Yes, what do you want? If everything is changing in the world, is there something that does not change? Very brilliant question. Then he had no answer. He kept mum. But the later group who came, he said, it is Shunya, it is vacuum. They are called as the Shunyavadis, they are called as the Kshanikavadi, the two dimensions. But when, after a few decades, few centuries, when Shankaracharya came, he said, how is this possible? This fantastic world that we have, this infinite world that we have, can it come from a zero? Impossible. So he said, Purnamadaha, Purnavidam. This also full, that also should be full. It cannot be a zero. What is the relation between the two? Purnat Purnam Udachyate. This world comes from that infinite Purna. When this world comes from that, what is going to happen to that? Will it become a zero? X minus x is zero? No. Here, infinity minus infinity can be infinity. X minus x is zero is the law of the finite world. Infinity minus infinity is infinity. Therefore, this entire world comes untouched. It remains. That the Parabrahman, ultimate reality, is it. Therefore, that which is beyond space, time, causation, which is beyond mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, is the original state. That state is the infinite power, infinite knowledge, infinite freedom, infinite bliss. And that is our original state. Therefore, Swami Vivekananda emphasized again and again, don't think you are just this body, limited self. You are that infinite self. You are the infinite energy, infinite power, infinite freedom, infinite bliss. And that is called divinity, he called. That's our Manija state. So, when you look at the world at large, this individual, the entire creation also has come from that thing called as Parabrahman, Brahman, pure consciousness, absolute reality. So this is the picture. We have got unchanging dimension which encompasses everything, and we have the ever-changing world. In the physical world, we have this large number of particles which are there, and at the base of that is all energy field, energy field. Then in the creation, our CS found that there are seen and unseen dimensions. The seen is the physical world. In the physical body we have is the Annamaya Kosha, made out of the Anna, made out of the matter. That's the physical world made out of atoms, molecules, protons, neutrons, fundamental particles, energy. Then we have got much bigger than that is our Pranamaya Kosha, made out of the prana. Then we have the Manomaya Kosha, made out of the mind. Then we have the Vijnanamaya Kosha, made of the intellect information field. Then the biggest is Anandamaya Kosha. So we have the seen, the physical body, Annamaya Kosha, unseen, subtle bodies, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Koshas, and the causal, that is the Anandamaya Kosha. In Vedanta, it's called the Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. Sukshma Sharira further divided into three koshas, that is Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Therefore, this is the whole creation. So every one of us have 5 bodies. We do not have just the physical body. We have got another 4 bodies. Similarly, in the creation, it is not the physical world made of the electromagnetic field. Encompassing that is the bioplasmic field or the pranic field. Much bigger than encompassing this entire thing is the astral field or the mind field. Then much bigger than that, encompassing all these things is the Vijnanamaya Kosha, that is the information field. Then the biggest of all is Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss field. All these fields are in continual interaction. A change in one brings change in the other. Similarly, a change in the body is going to bring the change in the prana and the mind and the emotions, intellect, everything goes on changing. Similarly, a change in the mind is going to bring changes in this. There's a continual interaction, and this is the dimension that is there, one encompassing the other. And that which is beyond all these things, the Jagat, the changing world, changing creation, is the unchanging dimension. there are two models. One is called as the prana, another is called the mind. In Prashnopanishad, it is said this entire thing is nothing but prana. Pranasyedam vashe sarvam. Tridive yat pratishtitam. Madeva putran rakshasva. Shirishta pragnanta videhinati. It is the prana, prana, prana. The grossest manifest of this prana is the physical. The subtle and the causal thing is the Anandamaya Kosha. While Patanjali developed another model, he called it as Chitta, or the mind. This entire thing is nothing but Chitta. And Chitta in the grossest form is the physical world. He called it Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhiniveshaha, Kleshaha. How the entire mind gets grossified and grossified becomes gross. Just like a vapor, unseen vapor, and slowly start becoming clouds, becomes darker clouds, and becomes this thing coming down as rain and snow and ice and becomes solid ice which is there. Similarly, the whole mind is going to get condensed and becomes gross matter. Just like energy, when you are going to condense, it becomes matter. Similarly, the prana or the mind is going to get condensed and becomes matter. This is the whole structure. So we know in modern science, matter and energy are convertible. At one time, we thought that energy and matter are two different things. But we understood that you can convert matter into energy, energy back to matter. How do you convert matter into energy? We have got the nuclear reactors, in which we have controlled transformation of matter into energy. Whereas atomic bomb, we have the uncontrolled transformation of matter into energy, destructive. Similarly, can you condense energy into matter? The equipment is called cyclotrons. Two things, several miles in circumference. And the energy you circulate down in that tremendous speed when it goes this thing, and then the matter gets created. You can create newer and newer matter. So these are the two things. Similarly, we have the mind. When it gets condensed, it's called as the creation and becomes matter. So initially it is Anandamaya Kosha. It's in the form of Ananda, almost infinite. From there, when it condenses, it comes to the Vijnanamaya Kosha, then Manomaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, finally Annamaya Kosha. So what happens in the whole encounter? In the whole encounter, the total knowledge which used to be there, absolute bliss that used to have, all start getting reduced and becomes smaller and smaller. The fullest of the knowledge that we have in the Anandamaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. In Vijnanamaya Kosha, you have tremendous amount of knowledge. And people who can go into that Vijnanamaya Kosha, they are Trikala Jnanis. They know the past, present, and the future. And such were the great masters. In our ancient science, we had Rama and Krishna and such epic characters. Similarly, world over, there were great masters who should be there. And not only the epic characters, when you come in our country, every state excelled with such great masters. We have Adi Shankaracharya from Kerala. We have Sant Gnandev from Maharashtra. We have Swaminarayan from Gujarat. We have Lahari Mahashaya, Yukteswar Giri from the West Bengal. We have large number of Siddhas from Tamil Nadu. We had greatest of the Hatha Yoga masters from Madhya Pradesh. And we had Raghavendra Mahaswamigal and other great masters from Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. And if you go to the west, we have Guru Nanak, the greatest of the masters. These masters came again and again into our thing, exhibiting the tremendous knowledge of the past, present, and the future. Not only they had all the siddhis and others. If you study their history, you'll be amazed, how they were able to do that. Once I was traveling in Ladakh, I came to a place where there is an exhibition of Guru Nanak's thing. I never knew. It was a huge rock which is there, and there the history was written. What is the story? Many of you might know. Guru Nanak was the greatest seer, and he rebuilt the entire society to become ideal social order, bringing the total dimension. He was traveling all around, inspiring people into the realm of this total knowledge base. And there was a big, terrorist. Probably he was 7.5, 8 feet thing, very, very strong, very hefty. And he was so strong that he can just take a big rock, about 20 feet in diameter, and then just take it and then play like a ball. Such immense strength he had. And he was killing everybody and establishing his thing. He was a Rakshasa in a sense. Therefore, people said, please don't go that side, because this fellow is going to, you don't know what he's going to do. He will finish you. Guru Nanak was calm and quiet. Don't worry. And he goes there into that region, and he was sitting in meditation. So this fellow knew that Guru Nanak is coming, and if I finish him, then I'll become the extreme, ruler of this entire thing. The whole Sikh community, everybody will come under my hands. So I said, now it has become very easy. He goes and takes that huge rock, 25 feet in diameter, pulls it up and throws him onto that Guru Nanak. What would I have accepted? It would have been crushed to pieces. But what happened? It just melted like wax. Nothing happened. That is Guru Nanak. Such are the great personalities in our country. There is something Namdev from Maharashtra. There is Shankaracharya. He was somewhere in the north, and he had given a vow to his mother, boon, that whenever you want to call me, I'm going to come. On that condition, he got sannyas. Now mother is in her deathbed. Oh, Shankara, please come. I never called you earlier for nothing. Now I'm leaving. Last, I want to see and breathe my last. Oh, Shankara came in minutes from this thing. I had heard of Hanuman taking Sanjeevani Parvata to Lanka. And Shankara just came. Study the lives of such people. It's amazing. And such are the great masters. They are all in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. They have got all the siddhis. What is Anima, Mahima, Garima, that Ashta siddhis. That's like Hanuman used to make your body small or big and everything. That's in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Then from there we condense. We come to the Manomaya Kosha. Our knowledge reduces. And slowly the wrong knowledge percolates. And that what they call as avidya and viparaya. So he describes the dimensions of the chitta or the mind. Pramana, viparaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritayaha. 5 dimensions of the mind, they say. First is the one that happens is avidya. That the wrong knowledge starts coming in. The knowledge starts becoming smaller and smaller, becomes wrong knowledge. In the beginning, it was the perfect knowledge. That's pramana. Everything is perfect knowledge. You know the whole knowledge base of the whole creation. Then slowly it starts looking down and gets into wrong knowledge called viparaya. What is viparaya? Seeing a ghost in a post, seeing a serpent in a rope. You become jaundice and you see the whole world has become yellow. This is called viparaya. And viparaya further comes from. And it speeds up the mind. And pramana, viparaya, vikalpa. Vikalpa is random mind, haphazard mind, fast mind, uncontrolled mind, monkey mind. So this is the thing that happens. Then you come down. We have got the dimension of nidra and smriti. So the first 3, pramana, viparaya, and vikalpa, are the manifest form of the mind. They have the dualities. The seer, seen, and the process of seeing are there. But the other 2 are unmanifest form of the mind. Nidra is deep sleep. Even in the dream, you may have the actual questions and everything. But in deep sleep, you are frozen. Mind has not become absent. Mind has gone into a different phase. So, Patanjali says this is also a chitta vritti. Abhava pratyaya, alambana vritti hi nidra. It's a abhava pratyaya. Normally, it is the bhava pratyaya, it is the manifest form. Now it is the unmanifest form. It is in the potential form. In deep sleep, don't think that mind has vanished. Mind has gone into a frozen form, unmanifest form, and that is the unmanifest form. like the potential form. And then we have the whole storage of information and all our samskaras built into our subtle things in a monomaya course. That's called the Santita karma and also prarabdha karma. All the work that we do gets transformed into these things. They get stored as memory stores. Smritis. They are on the form of smriti or the memory. So the mind has these 5 dimensions according to Patanjali. So we all normally have the Jagarat and the Swapna. In these 2 phases, we have got the Pramana, Viparya and Vikalpa. But when you go to deep sleep, you are in the phase of Nidra. And when you go to the deeper levels like the Samadhi and others, then you are in the Smriti dimension. So these are the dimensions of the mind he brings about. And this all has happened and you start coming down. In the Manomaya Kosha, then you start, Viparya starts. The wrong knowledge comes in. And slowly it creates the Vikalpa, the faster mind, quicker mind. All these things start happening. And uncontrolled speed of the mind causes the problem. So all psychiatric dimensions start coming here. When the Viparya comes, you are in the dimension of psychosis. When you come into the other dimensions, emotion taking over, it is in neuroticism. And therefore, in the mind level, it starts happening. And that is what is called as the stress in the subtle form according to the yoga dimension. Therefore, called Adi. That's the root cause for all these ailments that we have in that thing. From the Adi, it comes down to the Pranamaya Kosha. In the Pranamaya Kosha, everything is in a good balance. It is like a clear lake. Then you throw a big stone, the whole lake gets disturbed. Similarly, the Pranamaya Kosha gets disturbed, then you have this thing. There you have the prana moving hither, thither, becoming very fast, and the 5 components of prana, as the Pranamaya Kosha, called prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana, they all get disturbed. And it is these 5 functional manifestations of prana which govern all our physiological functions in the body. The prana deals with all the functions that happen in the region of Mukha. Mukhanasikaabhyam prana swayam pradishtate. Then we have got apana, is the one that's responsible for urination, excretion, and peristaltic process. Then madhyetu samanaha, all digestive forces are governed by what is called as samana. And udana is the one that's responsible for upward forces, belching, vomiting, and in the subtle form the Kundalini Shakti, everything is by the udana. And vyana is responsible for touch. So all the 5 functional manifestations of prana in the Pranamaya Kosha start getting disturbed. Therefore, our physiological functions start getting disturbed. The breathing, for example, it becomes haphazard. Faster breathing, haphazard breathing, shallow breathing, left nostril speaking more than the right flowing more than the left, all that starts happening. And all organs and systems will start getting into a state of big imbalance. At the highest level, we have the left and right brain imbalance, autonomic imbalance, endocrine imbalance. It percolates down. Every organ and system start getting into different imbalances. And the imbalance start exacerbating more and more. And they show up as the dis-ease. They call the vyadhi. Adi in the Manomaya Kosha comes down and becomes vyadhi in the physical body. So what do we do? Essentially, we deal with the physical body and try to give relief to the symptoms of the disease. Diabetes, sugar level has gone up. Therefore, you have the anti-diabetic diabetes and insulin. Similarly, hypertension, BP has gone up. You have the anti-hypertensive tablet. We give the symptomatic relief. But you are not dealing with the Adi there. Therefore, we have no solution. That is the root cause as to why modern allopathic system has not been able to give a solution to the entire modern NCDs. Therefore, what we do is to work at all the levels. No doubt, you must give the relief at the body level. Pain, misery, and these things. Allopathic system, very good, and we should use it. Nothing wrong in it. No? And you have broken a leg. Yes, you have got the surgery to do that. You are born with some congenital diseases, or maybe you have a heart problem, this thing, and you have heart surgery. everything you can do. But if you stop there, then you have no solution. So what do we do? In the integrative medicine, we deal with the entire dimension. At the physical level, we use allopathic system, diet, nutrition, everything. And for that, at the yoga level, we have got asanas, then the Shitilikarna Vyayama, that the loosening practices, and we have the kriyas, cleansing the inner system. And in the allopathy, we have the dimensions of panchakarmas and others. Then food, very important dimension. Take care of the food. We are all drawn by our tamas, rajas, and sattva, and that has to be changed. So in our Aragadham, when people come, we find out how much is tamas, rajas, sattva, and what is their vata, pitta, kapha dimension, and we suitably make the dimension. Just like in allopathy, hypertension, you don't take the salt, and you got diabetes, you stop taking sugar. That's all we'll do. Along with that, also you deal with the subtle dimensions, vata, pitta, kapha, and tamas, rajas, sattva, the dietic dimension. You have dietic nutrition. In the allopathy, we do that. We have that. Therefore, we combine allopathy with the other dimensions, even at the body level. So we ask the people to go for walk. So diabetic people, they said, okay, at least you must have about 2 hours in a week of your walk. Good, we'll do that. But what is doing that in the whole encounter and go for exercises? In yoga asanas, we have the relaxation dimension. You relax the body. Thereby you relax the entire system. Thereby the imbalance is going to come down. So we have on dimensions of relaxation. Similarly, we wash outside face and have a bath and everything, but inside you can cleanse your system by the kriyas, the shat kriyas. So at the body level also we use the yoga aspect, Ayurveda aspect, and naturopathy aspect, and physiotherapy. All these things are combined at the physical body level. We don't stop there. When you go to hospital, normally you give some medicine and maybe you control the diet to some extent. But here, when the people come to here, from morning 5 o'clock, we have the whole program up to night 10 o'clock. So we have got asanas, loosening practices, kriyas, mudras, bandhas, and pranayama and everything. At the pranamaya kosha, you want to bring the dimensions of control of the prana, how to bring balance of all the 5 pranas has to be brought forth and bring balance. For that, we work on breathing. We have the pranayama. And to cleanse the entire respiratory system, to strengthen, we have got kapalabhati, or the kriya type of breathing, fast breathing. These breathings are going to strengthen your lungs and also completely cleanse our entire thing. Then pranayama is to slow down the breath, slowing. Our normal breathing 15 to 18, we are going to bring down to 13, 12 per minute, 10 per minute. Gradually go deeper and deeper into pranayama. 5 per minute, then 2 per minute, then 1 per minute. This is the whole process of pranayama in which you have complete slowing down of the system. Therefore, the mind will slow down and the imbalance and the stresses are all going to slow down. Pranamaya kosha dimension. And we also have advanced technique to deal and work with the subtle things like Vyana and Samana and others. For that, we have got the dimensions called PET, pranic energy technique we have developed, and there's the acupuncture, acupressure, which are there in the normal thing. We use that thing, and all that we use here. At the body level, we also use hydrotherapy and mud therapy and other natural dimensions, so that you'll be able to have a comprehensive thing. Then you come to the Manomaya Kosha. In the Manomaya Kosha, we have the dimensions of using meditation, dhyana, and see that the mind calms down the whole encounter. So you have to understand the difference between concentration and meditation. In concentration, you are speeding up the mind, faster mind, quicker mind, brilliant mind, skillful mind. Why do you say that? Supposing you read 10 pages an hour and understand, whereas she is able to read 30 pages an hour and understand. And he will be able to do 50 pages an hour. Understand? Who has got higher concentration? Person who reads 50 pages. what's happening? The number of thoughts in the mind has increased, double, triple, 5 times more. So in concentration, you are going to speed up the mind, faster mind, quicker mind, brilliant mind, sharper mind. This is concentration. But in meditation or dhyana, it is the reverse. It is slowing down of the mind. So we bring from 1,000 thoughts per minute to 500, 100, 50, 20, 10, 5 to 1. One thought per minute, one thought per 5 minutes, one thought per 1 hour. Tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. It is said, dhyana is to slow down the mind. Therefore, meditation and concentrations are two opposite things. So, in neuroticism, the mind has gone haywire because of the uncontrolled speed of the mind, faster mind, faster mind. And once you go on increasing the speed, your sharpness and IQ goes on increasing. But after some time, when you increase further, it starts coming down. Your IQ is going to come down, memory is going to get spoiled, and you're going to have failure of logic. Therefore, what is to be done? For neuroticism, we have to slow down the mind. That's the solution that we use for a large number of neurotic patients and others. So that's what we do at the meditation level. So at the pranamaya kosha, we have the pranayama and kriyas. At the mind level, we have got meditation, dharana, dhyana, and science of emotion control. The emotion control is done to gain the mastery over the emotion. Normally, we know in psychotherapy, Sigmund Freud has said, hey, don't try to control emotions. Because if you try to control emotions, it is going to boomerang. Yes, he was right in a sense. He did not suppress emotions. Because in his large amount of OPDs, when he was doing, in all these people he found, his says, neuroticism everywhere, he used to have suppression as a key factor. In the name of etiquettes, manners, cultures, and other, they were just suppressing emotion. Therefore, he said, don't suppress emotion. He was right. But what is the solution he gave? He free went to the emotions. What has happened? Free went to the emotions that turned itself into license. In the United States, it's a free country. It fitted them very well. And everywhere people said, we are free birds. The students and the youngsters, they started saying that we don't have to care for anybody. We are free birds. We don't have to care for our parents, or brothers, or sisters, or for the faculty, or the teachers, or the professors, or the doctors. We are free birds. Fine. Okay. What has happened? They have become slaves to the senses. Drug addicts, rampant increase. And uncontrolled speed of the mind, ADHD. And slaves to the things. All have grown up tremendously. And that's the hazard. Therefore, if you try to control emotions, it will get suppressed. If you give free vent to the thing, you have the hazards of license. What are the way out? Look at that. It's here that yoga comes into picture. You should not suppress, right? But you should not give free vent. Because if you give free vent, it is something like quenching the fire using ghee. It is going to blow up. What is to be done? Sublimation. So what is the difference between sublimation and suppression? I'll give a simple example. There is a driver who is a reckless driver. And he was going very fast, overtaking all people, 100, 120, 130 kilometers an hour, going very fast. And he says a red light there. And he is not reducing his hopeful. By the time he reaches the red is going to turn green and still he can go. But very near the red, there is a police inspector standing there to catch him. Then he jams the brake. The whole car comes to a grinding halt. Maybe some people in the car have a slip disc, may happen. Everybody scream at him. What reckless driver he is. Shaken up. There is a master driver. He is also going very fast, overtaking others, 100, 120. When he sees the red, what he does? He decelerate. 150, 100, 50, 20, comes to a smooth horse. Nobody knows how smoothly he came. This is sublimation. Sublimation and suppression. In suppression, you have all the energy that's primitive, but you block it. You have not controlled the energy that you are producing inside. That's like an automobile. You're pressing and you're burning the diesel or the petrol continuously. But what is sublimation? You start reducing the power that you are giving them. Reduce the petrol flow or the diesel flow into this thing. So you reduce the energy. So therefore you learn how to slow down, slow down. To gain mastery over the emotion, this is solution, sublimation. This is what Bhakti Yoga teaches us. We have to learn how to control the gross emotions into subtle emotions, the violent emotions into softer emotions. So what Bhakti Yoga says in the mind level to gain mastery is recognize your Asuri Sampat and Daivi Sampat. Asuri Sampat is your violent emotion, anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, infatuation, fear, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, bhaya. These are all the violent emotions. No? So this is called the Asuri Sampat, the Rakshasi Sampat, violent emotion, negative emotions, vices. What are the good emotions? Virtues, real love, magnanimity, forgiving, giving and giving, compassion, love, control over the senses. All these are the good ones. They are called the Daivi Sampat, the positive virtues, the good emotion. Why do you call them as good? Why do you call them as bad? In Bhagavad Gita, we have a beautiful shloka by Krishna. It says, Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya, Nibandhaya Asuri Mata. It says, all those qualities within you which makes you raise to the higher and higher heights, moving from your normal level to become great human being, super divine human being, and reach that ultimate reality itself, that pure consciousness is called the good qualities. That's your strength. Opposite of that, it makes you miserable, more and more stressed up, more and more diseases, anger, greed, jealousy, all these things going down, and various entities, and you become so miserable, so cut up, and you don't want to live, you want to commit suicide. That's the dimension which leads to. So therefore, in the art of sublimation, you have to convert the gross emotion to the subtle emotion. And that is the whole dimension of Bhakti Yoga that are brought forth in our practices of the Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, the science of emotion culture. So therefore, at the Manomaya Kosha level, you reduce the Adhi by slowing down of the mind, calming down of the mind, and bring the balance of the emotions. Convert the gross emotion, the violent emotion, into subtler and softer emotion. This is what we done at the Manomaya Kosha. That is called the Raja Yoga or the Patanjali Yoga. Then come to the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Your wrong knowledge has to be corrected. And this is the most vital part. And if you don't correct the wrong notions, you will never improve. We had huge experience with bronchial asthmatic. And they all get well with these three dimensions, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Koshas. But if they do not understand the whole mechanism and everything, then it will continue. I will give an example. We had a lady who is a very brilliant lady, and she was suffering from bronchial asthma from the age of 20. She is now 45 years old. 25 years. She has gone to such severity. Bronchial asthma and then suffering and suffering. And she was taking inhalers and the cortisones and steroids were in plenty. It has gone into her thing. And once in a week, she has to be hospitalized with bronchitis thing. And she came to Dr. Nagaratna. She is our main director, as you know. She came and told, Doctor, I'm suffering and suffering. But nowadays, I have found something which I had not understood. Said, what? Do you think this asthma is psychological? He asked. Why do you say that? It's not only mind. Actually, there is a bronchoconstriction that takes place, and therefore the breath that comes here gets constricted. Physically, this happens. Therefore, why do you say it's only psychological? Then she said, Doctor, that I don't understand. But what I have seen now is that over the last 3 weeks, I have been finding that I'm getting this attack, bronchoconstriction, turning itself into an attack, only when I am with my husband. So I have found a way. Immediately when I start finding the bronchoconstriction, I leave my house and then go to my father's house, where Jayanagar, 3rd block, Jayanagar, 5th block, only 2 kilometers. When I go there, I become all right, Don't you think it is psychological? Nagaratna, oh, that's so. You have a lot of problem with your husband. Yes. I don't like him, Whatever he says, I don't like. Whatever I say, he will not like. Always we quarrel. We quarrel cats and dogs. We're always on the verge of divorce. That is happening. That's why I found this way of how it is. So the Nagaratna said, oh, this is the problem. Okay. You come to our camp. You'll get normally. So at that time, we used to come in the evening. We used to have this yoga therapy camp with the integrated medical dimension, Nagaratna unraveling. So in the first talk, we had in that camp in Shadasi Samaj in Samrajpet, that area, our camp, we had nearly about 75 all asthmatics of various levels, way back in 1979. And she used to give a brilliant talk. The first talk, he asked, how many of you think that you have this asthma because of the pollution in Bangalore? We know that pollution has increased in Bangalore. Therefore, how many of you think you are all having asthma because of this? Everybody raise their hands. Yes. That's it. This is the wrong notion. If it were so, if pollution is the root cause for asthma, how many people in Bangalore have bronchial asthma? Only 4.5%. Why all the remaining 95.5% people do not get asthma? Then she explained. The pollution will trigger the bronchospasm. When it is very, very high, everybody is going to sneeze. Everybody is going to have this bronchoconstriction if it is above this thing. But in bronchial asthmatics, the bronchoconstriction takes place with a very small pollution. If it happens with 90 units of pollution, here it happens at 0.9 units. Why? The broncho hyperreactivity has happened to the bronchus. Ati sukshmata. Too much of sensitivity has happened. Therefore, what is to be done? Not to remove the pollution outside, not to remove the Parthenium. There was a big movement at that time. I remember all number of people worked to remove the Parthenium weight. Fine. That you do for cleanliness, but that's not going to help you. What is to be done? Your oversensitivity has to be reduced. This introspection, this is called Swadhyaya. This is the counseling. So then, what is to be done? You change your understanding that asthma is because of outside objects, outside events, outside persons, outside pollutions. It is all because of your oversensitivity that you have developed. What is the solution? You have to reduce the oversensitivity. Why does oversensitivity occur? Explain the whole thing. How Adi becomes a Vyadhi, how it comes and these things, everything. So, all people started changing their outlook. This is counseling. And she went on improving day by day. And by 14th day, every day she was continuously having this thing and getting admitted to this thing. And that was the condition. Now she became so well. Her husband had come. She came and talked to Dr. Nagaratna. Nagaratna, 25 years of asthma. You have cured within just 14 days. What a miracle you have done. And Nagaratna said, I have not done any miracle. She has understood what is reality. Then he said, what? And please ask her. Then she said, I heard the first lecture. Then I understood the root cause of my asthma. What was my cause? I am thinking always that you are wrong. I am right. No? So I became oversensitive. Once I started understanding that this is the cause is inside, I started changing. I started looking at you and I started tolerating you. Then gradually I started analyzing whether you are wrong or I am wrong. Earlier it never occurred to me. Always I thought I am right, you are wrong. I started changing. Then many times I found that you are better solution than mine. See, everybody has their way of doing the work, and you are doing, but you are better than me, I understood. Then I started developing a sort of respect. I started accepting you. Then I found most of the time I am wrong and you are right. No? Therefore, I completely changed. Therefore, I stopped quarreling. Husband said, yes, doctor, I know. Last 5 days, I'm trying to trigger her to quarrel, stimulating her, but she never quarrels. This is the transformation needed. So this is what we call as the counseling, understanding. This is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So understanding you have got these 5 bodies and these things, complete knowledge base we give and things will remarkably change. Therefore, the Vijnanamaya Kosha, I have the counseling. We have the lectures. The lectures in general will give the complete solution, a change in our way of looking at things. Our total transformation, our understanding is going to come up. Then we have individual counseling. We take individual cases and then give them individual counseling. So it is not the Sigmund Freud's psychokinesis in which psychotherapy that you give free vent to the emotion. Wrong. You have to completely bring about the new dimension. This is what yoga and our entire integrative medical system with your Ayush is going to give us. Because we have the complete understanding. Sigmund Freud did not have this total understanding of the whole. He did not understand the dimensions of emotion. Therefore, equipped with this knowledge base, you will be able to deal with the system completely. Therefore, at the Pranamaya Kosha, we have pressure, acupuncture and everything. At the Manomaya Kosha, we have a wonderful meditation and science of emotion culture, the Bhakti Yoga dimension. At the Vijnanamaya Kosha, we have got the dimensions of lecture, counseling, individual question and answers, interactions, we continuously go through. Finally, Anandamaya Kosha. We have to be very, very happy all the time. What is the concept of happiness? Always we think happiness is in outside objects. So we have never tested it. Upanishad tell, please examine. Whether our happiness is in objects of enjoyment. Say that you like gulab jamun, and therefore we think happiness is in gulab jamun. Do a simple experiment. It says, first gulab jamun, you are very happy. Second gulab jamun, okay. Third, no, not so much. But if I force you to eat fourth and fifth, then you almost vomit it out. But we had one of our friends, in our Institute of Science when I was there. And he was very, very happy about gulab jamun. His capacity was 35 gulab jamun. And one day, we took him to a hotel and we were all there. And there was a competition. Another boy and this. Another boy went up to 32. This fellow went up to 35 nicely. Then I said, now you have to eat another 5. That is it. Somehow he gulped in. Another 2. He was almost coming to this. And the fourth one just vomit out the whole thing. So can you say happiness is in our objects and enjoyment? Law of diminishing returns. And takes you to the misery. If really happiness was an object of enjoyment, it should have increased. You got a 100 rupee note, you add 100 rupees, goes on increasing. So the Upanishad tells, please look at this thing. Find out what is happiness. So it depends on person to person. What you like, he will not like. What he likes, he may not like. One community, what they like, another like, they do not like. Maharashtrians and Gujarat, because they like Shikand, so nice. But Tamil Nadu people, hey, what is it, peculiar, sweet and sour, we don't like. Italian dishes, American dishes, English dishes, all different. You know? So it varies from person to person, community to community. And even without any enjoyment, you have a news that you get. You got a big award for the wonderful work that you have done in this thing. You are very happy. There is no eating that takes place. So it's an inner state of mind. That's the simple conclusion that comes. That's what is called the Ananda Mimamsa, happiness analysis. We give them a lecture. Ultimately, you take this happiness analysis deeper and deeper, and you will understand it's a state of silence. It is the calmness of the mind, silence of the mind, tranquility of the mind. That is called as happiness. Happiness is peace. Peace is silence. Silence is bliss. Saparame vyoman pratisthita. In the Taitra Upanishad, Ananda Mimamsa. Therefore, when you want happiness, why we go for the sense pleasures? Because we think happiness is an object of enjoyment. But if you understand it is a state of silence, for happiness, we go and get more and more silence, calmness, peace, and others. So this knowledge base and bringing that into Ananda, we bring about. So what we do here is give them the knowledge, the Ananda, and ask them to sit quietly, calmly. We all get time for ourselves where we don't have to do anything. But what do? To turn our radio or a TV or browse our this thing. Why? Why don't you allow your mind to enjoy that silence? Because our knowledge is that calming down of the mind is useless. We do not understand the value and the grandeur of this silence. Therefore, we tell all the people who come here that every day they must practice the calmness and silence. And in the evening, they just walk around and be in tune with the nature. 5 to 6, we have time. And the patients are asked to walk around in the surrounding or stay in the terrace and go on watching the sky. So you work at all these levels, at the body level, prana level, mind level, emotional level, intellectual level, and the bliss level. This is what we call the integrated approach. So every system has a contribution to make. We do not belittle the grandeur of the allopathic system. It has done miracles. At the same time, don't say that it can do everything. You must expand your vision. Therefore, we have to bring in the dimensions of Ayurveda, naturopathy, physiotherapy, acupuncture, yoga, and the homeopathy, everything we can bring. And that's what we are doing here in our Prashanti Kutiram. So when our patients come here, we don't call them patients, we call them yoga therapy participants, we call. And we have different doctors. From the allopathic system, give immediate relief. Maybe a painkiller, what is needed? Maybe a sugar level, which is high, bring down these things. All that we'll do. But you also work with the dimension related to the prana, the mind, and the emotions, intellect, everything we do in a systematic thing from morning 5 o'clock up to night 10 o'clock. They're kept wonderfully. Results are miraculous. People who are declared almost dead, they come to alive. Cancer patients have gone into such severity, they have come to normalcy. People who were declared that they will not live more than 6 months to 1 year, they have lived for 25 years. And the quality of life has improved for all these people and so on. So therefore, we are projecting this integrative medicine and it's here. And we will see that we have prevention of diseases, promotion of positive health is more important. Therefore, we didn't call it as our hospital, we call it as Arogya Dham. Because we want people to come here who are normal, rejuvenate themselves, prevent diseases, promote positive health. That should be the direction. Therefore, I have been professing that this dimension of prevention has to be done, and I have been in the planning commission for many things, also in Niti Aayog. Everywhere we have been projecting, and we said that prevention is better than cure, we say. But how much budget we give in a country? No country puts more than 1%. So after repeated things and telling the dimensions of promotion of positive health and others, Niti Aayog finally has brought about this thing. Yes, we must put in up. Everybody agreed. Then I asked me how much we should do. I said, can we do 20%? 1% to 20% is too much. We'll do that 10%. That's agreed. Then immediately Dr. Harshvardhan was there. He said, how to do that? It is very beautiful, very practical. We'll set up wellness centers throughout the country. One wellness center for 4 to 5 villages. 1.5 lakh wellness centers. In that, we'll have the promotion of positive health. And for each one of them, he allotted 25 to 30 lakhs. Imagine 25 to 30 lakhs into 1.5 lakh. It comes to almost 15% of the health budget. This is how our country is growing, is expanding, bringing this dimension. Integrative medicine, we have to bring. So we gave this talk in All India Institute of Medical Science in Delhi about 10 years back. Myself and Nagendra went. Everybody was very, very happy. Yes, this is the thing that we want. And the director was so enthused that, okay, I'm going to give a beautiful place and let us set up a center. One complete floor of about 5,000 square foot was allotted. And we started a center for advanced integrative medical research. And Dr. Gautam, who became the coordinator, he's a great cardiologist, and he said, I'll pull out some 2 or 3% who have this inclination for integrative medicine. And he pulled them. And we started doing that. And within 4 or 5 years, everybody started doing this dimension of adding yoga to begin with into their practice. And research we started. We have almost, for the last 10 years, have produced 30 to 40 research papers in AIIMS, Delhi. So now our approach is we want to bring this integrative medicine in all AIIMS. And everybody is coming forward because AIIMS, Delhi has come. Therefore, AIIMS Bhopal, AIIMS Rishikesh, AIIMS Jodhpur all have come. And Chandigarh Institute, PGI has also come and other things are coming. We want that it should spread everywhere. But Dr. Gangadhar, who has been the pioneer in that, with Dr. Nagaratna and Hemant and all that, how to bring that into the whole thing? Because unless we expand the vision of allopathic doctors, this will not happen. For example, Dr. Harshvardhan set up complete building for the Ayush in all AIIMS. What is happening today? There are Ayurveda doctors and the yoga therapy people, everybody in the Ayush buildings. They have allotted everything. But when the patients come here, they ask, sir, there is this Ayush wing, shall we go and get treated in Ayurveda or yoga and this thing? Hey, don't go. We don't know what is going to happen. If something happens, we are not responsible. Why? Because they don't have this vision. They have got only limited vision of allopathy. Therefore, the whole approach, Dr. Gangadhar, Nagaratna, all have got to have a broader vision. So how to bring this dimension, opening the minds of the allopathy people. So we started this CCIM, that is Certificate Course in Integrative Medicine. And in the first batch, at the end of that, everybody, you must see the feedback they have given. They all opened their minds. It's such a wonderful thing. It is new knowledge dimension. And they've all started working on that to see that we bring integrative medicine. That's why I'm sure all of you with this broader understanding, a conceptual framework of the integrative medicine is going to understand and see that you, when you go back, adopt these dimensions into your practice and see that you bring in this dimension. When the patient comes, we must give the best of all systems. And let us choose. Evidence base is very important. Wherever evidence base is there, we let us use that. And we accumulate more and more evidence base for other dimensions which are coming. We have nearly produced nearly 1,000 research papers in dimensions using the yoga and oil dimensions published in the research thing. And today, there is tremendous interest growing. Hemant and the Center for Integrative Medicine in NIMHANS also have produced already many papers, 40, 50 papers they have been able to bring forth. And each one of you should bring about this type of research paper through your own thing. And that's how integrative medicine is going to come forth. Then we want to build the integrative medicine into our post-graduation, MD. Therefore, MD integrative medicine for psychiatry that has been brought forth in NIMHANS. And we have been running this MD for almost 10 years. And Dr. Hemant is also one of our MD who had this dimension of the integrative medicine. We call it as MD in yoga and others. And nearly 65 people have done their 3 years intensive program in MD. Allopathic people will get the dimensions related to the yoga, Ayurveda, then other dimensions of Ayush. Whereas the people with Ayurveda dimension, they will get more and more of the dimensions of allopathy. So we must merge together, combine together. It's not just a khichdi that we make, but we have to see that we appropriately incorporate the different dimensions at all these 5 layers. That is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Kosha. What are the system? And that's what we are going to have this. And when you come here, you can see how we have been able to operate in our Prashanti Kuteram, in our Arogya Dham, and see that it comes up. Therefore, I am very happy, delighted that all of you have joined this course, and I'm sure this will open up your minds and see that it expands your vision. And objective is that we should get our people, therapy participants, I don't call patients, to get the best out of our medical delivery system. Ultimately, you must see that we develop such a healthcare delivery system which is evidence-based, very effective, with least effect, with cost-effective, and helps in long-term rehabilitation. That's what integrative medicine is at, and therefore the CCIM is going to be a trigger for developing such a healthcare delivery system in our country, and the whole world is looking towards India for such a thing to happen. And I'm sure with the encouragement by our Honorable Prime Minister and great personalities like Dr. Gangadhar and Dr. Nagaraja earlier, Dr. Nagaratna, and the whole team of integrative medical system faculties is going to come up in a big way, and you will all become big ambassadors for doing this thing because you are the pioneers who are joined now in this course. With that, I once again congratulate all of you for joining this course and see that it comes up. With that, thank you very much. Namaskar. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, Guruji, for your enlightening class. Every time I listen to you, I have been listening to you for many years, but I get newer and newer insight into these domains. So, heartfully, Guruji, we are very grateful to you for sparing your valuable time for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste.